Okay, the next one is specializing. Now, I do put this one in because it's so valuable. Many of you have the opportunity and the ability to specialize in a given industry. That means that you're going to draw most, if not all, of your clients from that particular industry. If you choose to specialize, there's a few things I want you to know about, okay? The first of all is look for an industry that you have experience in. Although it's not required, it's easier if you've got the experience in that particular industry. For instance, if you worked in a medical office for several years, that might be an excellent area to specialize in, okay? Or if you've worked in a car dealership, that might be an excellent area. You might look at specializing in used cars. Or if you've worked in a car repair shop, or if you've worked in any type of area where you've worked a lot, you happen to know a lot about that industry that most accountants don't. And when you speak to others in that same industry, you have the advantage of knowing the lingo that they use. And you know enough about that business to be able to give them a lot more than what they would get from somebody that doesn't. I'll give you an example. A fellow by the name of Yumei was a student of ours. Now, Yumei had fled from his foreign country, which was Korea, to the United States 20 years earlier than I had met him. And not knowing English, he gravitated towards people that knew Korean, and they happened to work in Oriental restaurants. A lot of them did at that time. And so he got a job washing dishes in an Oriental restaurant where the language was not a problem. And after a few years of that, he got to know a little bit of English, so he started working as a chef, okay, as an associate chef, helping make the food, and then started bussing tables, and eventually he started serving the tables. And at the time I met him, he had been a manager of an Oriental restaurant. He was just tired of the horrendous hours he was being put through. And so he came and took the training because he wanted to understand a different subject. He wanted to have a different career. Well, at the end of the class, he came into me, and at that time I knew about his background in Oriental restaurants, so I said, specialize in Oriental restaurants. Boom, lights went on for him. He was excited. You know, it meant that he could still work in an area that he was very comfortable with. And was there anything you think that Yumei didn't know about Oriental restaurants? I don't think so. He knew everything there was, okay? So he was comfortable in that environment, plus he could choose his own hours to work. So it was just perfect for him, okay? And so, you know, and nice thing about Oriental restaurants, are there a lot of Oriental restaurants in this valley?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, hundreds of Oriental restaurants to draw from. And he doesn't need all 100 to be his clients, does he? Just a fraction of those. And I've been in a lot of these restaurants. I've asked them, do you know Yumei? Most of them know who he is, okay? So, and a lot of them are his clients. Last time I saw him, he was out buying a home, new home, so he's doing pretty well at it. You know what he called his business? Oriental Restaurant Bookkeeping Service. Is there any question what Yumei does with a name like that? Okay? And when he walks in and hands his business card to an Oriental restaurant business owner and they read Oriental Restaurant Bookkeeping Service, they know that this is a person that understands them. Okay? So specializing can be a terrific tool. Now, another couple things I would do if I were going to specialize is I would look at where people, owners in that industry, gather. I would try to join, if there are such a thing in that industry, a trade group. Now, for instance, construction. That could be a specialty, but I wouldn't limit it to just construction accounting. I would look for somebody, I would specialize in maybe businesses that frame homes. I would specialize maybe in businesses that work with sheet metal, or businesses that work with furnaces, or businesses, I would look for special masonry businesses and specialize in that particular area. Go further than just construction. and then look for a trade group that caters to masons or caters to drywallers or caters to plumbers. And I would become an associate member of that group. Now we're going to get into a few minutes in a networking. That's a perfect way to network, okay? And the other thing I would do is I would subscribe to the trade journals, the same trade journals that my prospective clients would take. One, because then I can keep up on what they're learning and what what's important to them. But the other reason why is because trade journals very oftentimes have accounting articles in them, things, tax articles or whatever, things that apply to that particular trade group that I can then share with them, because most of the businesses that get that trade journal, when they see accounting in the title or bookkeeping or record keeping, they skip right over that article. But I'm not going to. I'm going to read that article and I'll probably paraphrase it and make sure that my clients understand what it says. Okay? Now, there's a lot of different types of industries to specialize in, as we've talked about. And you can look in the medical industry, you can look in construction, you can look in retail or wholesale. But find one that you have experience in. I'll give you an example. One of our past students liked to golf, and she had golfed in golf courses all over the area. And she knew, she had talked to enough golf course owners and managers and so forth. She knew what was important to golf courses. So what do you think she specialized in? Golf courses. And then her golfing fees became a business expense. Okay? So recognize that there's all different ways to take advantage of specializing. And if I were starting up today, that's probably one of the things that I would work towards, is specializing in an industry. Finding one that, I happen to know a lot about a couple industries from past clients. So I have a few options, and probably most of you have those options as well. If you specialize, however, make sure you use that specialty in your business name, okay? What did you may call his business? Oriental Restaurant Bookkeeping Service. Now, that does limit you, doesn't it? You can't walk into a gas station with a card name like that and expect to get a client. But he doesn't need to worry about gas stations because he's got all the clients he needs with Oriental Restaurants, okay?